Hello everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to a brand new build. On the bench today, Kronos One, the 1/350 scale Polar Lights kit that has been in the stash for quite a while. And I know it's in yours. It's collecting a tremendous amount of dust, so you know the routine. Pull it down, get it out, because we're building it. And this isn't going to be a quickie, my friends. This is going to take us a little bit of time because, first of all, it's part of that 350 scale universe. And there was the Katinga, and this is the Kronos One from Undiscovered Country, which was episode 6. And they've done some really cool things to it. And you all know what those things are if you've got this kit, and some of you might already have all of the aftermarket parts. But I just want to go through it very quickly before we dive in, just for those of you who may only have the kit and weren't aware of what else was available, or you've decided you are going to build it now and maybe you want to go after some of these things. So anyway, here's the box, and she's a big one. Oh yeah. And if you flip the box over, on the back of it, you will see this. Yes, you'll see it says there are 142 pieces. I kid you not, 142 pieces. And it's going to be long. And it's got some really unique features. It's obviously got the wonderfully unique green chiller grills, I guess you would call them, in the nacelles. That's unique to this build. But what else is unique to this build is this incredible filigree work that is on the ship. Now, if you got the model, you'll know that the filigree work is offered to you as part of your decal set. And if you haven't opened your box, here it is. And it's a decal set. But we're not going to use it. Nay, nay. We are going to use the supplemental kit that comes from Polar Lights. And here's them's, those, is. And that is right here. And so when we open it and we take a look inside, we'll notice a couple of very distinct things. The first thing you'll notice is you'll say to yourself, hang about, self, you'll say, hang about. That looks awfully much like it's a Paragraphics set. Well, you'd be right, because it's actually designed and created for our dear friends over at Polar Lights by the great Paul Bodenseek, and it says it right on the back. That's how we know, and it's absolutely awesome. There is a wonderful little photo here that I'm showing you in extreme close-up, just to show you what is in it. And it's going to show you all the various different places where you've got opportunity to add the filigrees. And there is a lot of opportunity. There are 2 sheets that come with it. And they include everything you'll need for the filigree. And again, this was designed by Paul for specifically for this kit. Now, here's what's interesting about that, though, is there are some other things that if you want to go uber detailing it, you're going to need. And you might say, well, what are those, Phil? Well, I'm going to tell you. There is a lighting kit. And here it is. And it comes also from the folks at Polar Lights. It's one of their classic plug and play kits. And you know, when you open the box and you look inside, you realize very quickly that you're dealing with the good old-fashioned, oh, okay, it's just one of these. So now, that's not to denigrate this. If you have this kit and you want to use it, you should use it because it'll give you a relatively decent result. However, if you want to take it to that next level, you're going to need to go over the tenor controls, and you're going to need to scroll down through their Star Trek inventory, and you will see Kronos One. There is a kit for it. And the reason why that's important is because we know now that the lighting kit from Polar Lights, it's just not punchy enough. It's quite dim in places. And so with the tenor controls board, you're going to get a much juicier result. You're also going to be able to fire up your the torpedoes with sound. And now that does beg another question, is whether or not we can actually use the bass that comes with this kit. We most likely will try to do that just for size and everything else. But you could surely go to town on a bass for this, and it would be well worth it. Now, the only reason why this lighting kit is interesting is because you're going to get some red clear parts. And they're in this package. You're also going to get more photo etch. And what you realize in this photo etch pocket, or I guess protective card, is you've actually got additional details here for your windows, and for light blocking your windows and giving them a really crisp finish. That's a handy thing to have. So there you go. So there is a reason why the lighting kit, has some value. But again, here we go, right? We're going down deep down into the abyss, I would say, of, there's a lot of work to do here, but well worth it. Now, would you say that was everything? You could say that, but you'd be wrong. Why? Because the only other thing that I haven't mentioned yet, and I leave the best for last, that's right, you're going to need some masks. And here they are. Look at this. Look what I've got. Now, even though you've got raised panels on this kit, you're never going to be able to do, in my opinion, what you can do if you have an Aztec dummy masking set. And how do you get your Aztec dummy masking set? Well, you go over to Cult TV Man and you say, Steve, send me a Kronos masking set, and he will, along with anything else you need. So I'm working on sub-assemblies right now, and I'm making absolutely sure to follow the instructions to the T, because a lot of this I'm noticing has been designed to be lit, and of course we're lighting the ship, and we're not using the kit so much as we're actually using the tenor controls version of the Kronos lighting set. But there are some call outs here for some 3mm bulbs. Let me show you one of them here. You can see it quite clearly in this picture. We've got it on both sides. You can see it's here, and of course it's on the opposite side there. And that's where those 3mm bulbs are going. So I just need to make sure that I'm paying attention to all of this. So I'm doing these sub-assemblies. I'm also making sure to not glue anything that they don't want glued right now. For instance, they don't want this part of the bulb glued to the undersection. So I have assembled everything where the windows go, but I'm making sure to leave it absolutely clean. I will say this though, everything is going into position quite nicely. So I'm very excited about that, because I think it's going to make a huge difference in terms of the quality of the look of this. But I'm taking my time with this, and I'm really also appreciating the fact that it's in the black plastic. It's making it a lot easier for me. But I've also chosen to go ahead and use some black cement here. And the reason why I'm doing that is because if I get any, if I come across anything where I start to get a little spillage or something, you're not going to see it. So I really appreciate that too. Okay, I've pulled out some of the red clear red parts. They're not clear, they are red. And this came from the lighting kit because we're actually substituting some of the clear parts with these parts because they're going to glow red. We're going to want this to glow red because that's part of the drama of this fine ship. So that is what's going on. I'm pulling parts slowly off the sprues. I'm going in the order that it's asking me to, and I'm doing the sub-assemblies that I can very carefully. And we're just going to take our time now. I'm also really loving the detail on this. If you've got this kit and you haven't opened it, you're going to be really happy. The detail on it is really fine, and it's lifted quite well. I've noticed that on all the parts. Everything is crisp, so you're going to really enjoy building this if you have it in your stash. Okay, I'm going to carry on with my sub-assemblies. Well, we're moving right along, and there are some modifications that have to be made to this Kronos One kit if you're going to light it. Now I'm doing a bit of a mashup here because I'm taking pieces from the Polar Lights kit, lighting kit that they're offering, mostly, you know, the red clear parts. And I'm also following along with some of where those lights go. Some of it is pretty obvious, and some of it I just want to make sure that I'm right. I am going to be using the Tenor Controls board and their lighting system, but I'm also trying to figure out what sub-assemblies have to be done in what order in order to make my progress. Well, I've made a little bit of progress, but I did want to sort of memorialize a couple of things. If you intend to do what I'm doing, you are going to have to make some modifications to some of the parts, and I'll show you what those are right now. So take a look. This is the red part that comes with the Polar Lights lighting kit, and this is the part that actually comes with your Kronos kit. Now, if you intend to do nothing, you leave all the ridges on it. If you are following along and you have the lighting kit, you'll know to remove this gray notch that appeared around the bottom of it. There's an upside, there's an up, and then there's a down. The way you'll know the correct orientation is because this little lip right here sits over the front of your tower on the bubble of the Kronos One, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And so the way this goes is what you do is you clean up those parts, you sand this bit down, and then what that allows you to do is just essentially sit this in, and it will seat. There is sort of a couple of places for it to lock in, and you can find those, and they'll just key in. This part just sits over it, and it lines up with that detail part in the front of the tower, and then your cap sits nicely over it, because now I'm going to most likely remove this ridge here because it makes it too proud. And it doesn't need to be that proud. It needs to sit flush. But that's what you're going to end up with. And that allows light to emanate from the tower, and that's going to look pretty cool. Now, obviously, because this is in black, I mean, that's good news, right, in terms of light blocking. But I just don't know how much light blocking you get from black. You get quite a bit when I hit it with the flashlight. So that's good. Now the other thing is this needs to be installed before you can actually go ahead. You need to get your light bulb in here before you can go ahead and complete this, which means that this sub-assembly does need to get a little bit of paint, and I would highly recommend just giving it some paint before you carry on. Now also I wanted to show you, if you're super particular, And as we get a little more advanced, we do become a little more particular. But I want to show you this. So in this part, when you join these two together, you get a seam here. And that seam is visible. And it will be even more visible once we get it painted. Let me show you with my knife. It's right there, and it runs all the way up the top. Now, there is a way to get rid of that seam. And it's not with putty, it's actually with light curing putty. Or light curing resin, and that could definitely fill that in. So if you're careful and you want to go ahead and be brave and do that, you certainly can. If you don't want to be, and you're not using this part, there are aftermarket parts available that are a complete print of this circle, and that is so beneficial. You do ultimately get a lot of added value from the aftermarket parts because you don't have seams to deal with. But I think it's important sometimes as model makers to work with what you got and see what you can do to actually improve that part. Not only does that improve your skill, it makes you feel good about the fact that you could actually accomplish something without any aftermarket parts. And there's a lot of us out there who don't have printers and they're on a budget. So I think we're going to go ahead and clean this up and see what we get. I'm starting to add some of the smaller parts that I can on the sub-assembly. Now, I've started to do a little more work on the head, and basically what I've done is I've installed this rear part here permanently, but this top is not. It's loose. The reason for that is I'm not entirely sure about fit yet. But I'm starting to get some really nice edges, and you can hear, it will snap into place nicely. I'm just not ready to do any of that yet. So I've got some lights to put in here. So I'm just taking my time, and I'm going through and I'm making sure that I get a really nice tight fit on things where I can. And that's coming together really well. And so I'm really happy with what I've done. But that went on quite well, and then this front plate went on quite well, and I'm just going to soften this part just a little bit before I wrap this in, just because it's a little springy, but it's doing quite well. So I'm very happy with that, and there is a bunch of photo etch detail that's going to go on here, and it'll wrap itself around here, so that'll hide that seam. So that should look pretty nice. Overall, the fit's pretty good. I'm really happy with it. You can see I'm adding just a few details here. I've just added these little parts here. And I am appreciating how well this model has been designed and put together. And it's got a lot of raised detail, so we've got a lot of opportunity for dry brushing and for painting. So that's going to be fun. Okay, I'm just going to put on the last couple of clear parts that belong on the sides here that I know I can put on, and then I'm just going to continue to sort of detail away as I can as I go, because I don't want to forget anything. But it's been really fun. Trying to put these together, and yeah, they've gone together quite well, so we'll carry on. What I found interesting is you don't need to light block this plastic. I put a flashlight through it, and it is absolutely clean. You cannot see a thing. That's great. Which means that you don't have to have a bunch of paint and gunk on the inside of this kit. Now, there may be some places where we've got some light blocking to do where there might be a little leakage here and there, but for the most part, this black plastic is fantastic, and of course once it gets paint on it, it's going to be even better. So what I have here, I have a 5mm amber light, and I've taken the red lens from the lighting kit that was offered by Polar Lights. Now, you could, and I probably should have, gone ahead and just hit my clear part with some either Tamiya clear or AK Mix clear now, and just sprayed that, or if you don't have an airbrush, you could paint it on and you'd be just as fine. I'm just one of these knuckleheads who just picks on stuff and likes to play with it. The other thing is, the channel is really a bit of a test kitchen, and it's, rather than unboxings, we unbox stuff and play with it, and you get to see it, and you'll make a decision as to whether or not you like what's inside. And I think that's kind of cool. So I'm taking an Evans Design pre-resisted orange amber light, and I've tested this, and it looks really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that installed, because all my lights are going to run to a board, and I can go ahead and then install the front photon torpedo. It's this little piece here, and you can see I've gone ahead and put my red light in the back there, and I really like the distance they've created here, so the illusion is going to be quite fun. And then that just that sits in this little opening in the front of the bulb, and you get that nice and clean. And so what we'll have to obviously go ahead and do is just seal this up with a little bit of silly putty or something, so it doesn't get any of the primer in it. But that is good to go, and that can go ahead and get installed. So that's what I'm going to do now, and that'll take care of the front bulb photon torpedo, and then there'll only be a rear to deal with. Like that. I've got a printer going in the background. I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to speak up. So to light the Kronos One, there's a couple of advanced things that have to happen. To start with, in the bulb, you've got to put your photon torpedo in, and we've done that, and we've run our wire along the neck. The next thing you need to do is you need to get light to the upper section, which is this section here, and that involves lighting all of these windows in the front. They all need to be illuminated. And then these side panels. Now, we've got masks, because the only thing that gets covered here is these little louver vents. They get covered. Everything else is going to get painted in the gray, and that will allow light to emanate from these side louvers. The other thing we've got is we've got the tower. We've got the tower right here, and this needs to be masked before we can go ahead and install it. But I've run everything through its various different elements so I don't get caught, because what you're asked to do is attach this light with its resistor, this red light with its resistor, to your strip lights, of which you have two. So we're going to connect this with its resistor to this strip light. So it's going to get, obviously it's going to get the full Monty of the 9 volts. And that's going to come through and connect up to this light here. And then it will illuminate the top and the bottom windows with these two pieces of strip light, and then all of that is going to run out this neck, Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to build ourselves a little platform. We're going to build one platform for the top of the Cobra head, and that is going to allow this strip light to sit nicely wrapped around it, sort of in that position, like that. So we're going to do that. And then we've got to do one for the lower, which I've made a little longer because there is two tiny little lights in this section here. They're right here. Let me see if I can get closer for you. There. They are right there. And now I don't believe they're not strobes. They're not going to flash. They're just lights. So I'm going to I've made my strip light long enough so that it will get some illumination. And then the other nice thing is I just noticed some schmutz on that. We'll clean that up. The other thing is we've got some photo etch for this part here, because you can see we've got these sort of ugly seams, and they're all going to go away with our photo etch that's going to sit. It's going to wrap itself all the way around there. So that should look pretty darn good. So that should take care of the lighting for the Cobra head. And then we're going to start moving back along the neck. But the great thing about that is it allows me to do final assembly. I have been putting little details on here and there where they're called to be put on. You can see some of them here. There's some side vents and some other nonsense that has to go on, these little greeblies, and it's fun. So they've all got to go on as well, and then that will allow us to sort of start thinking about the next section, which is the nacelles, and that is a whole thing in and of itself, because we're going to have to do some sub-assembly, some painting, and but we've got a piece of photo etch that needs to go on, and all the photo etch is going to remain in the brass color. That's the awesome thing about this. It doesn't have to be painted. It all remains in the brass. Okay, so if you're following along, I hope that was clear as mud. But when you're lighting something like this, as you all well know, it takes a little bit of thought and some kind of workflow. Because if you don't, you're going to run into some serious trouble. And I'm also trying to be as tidy as I can, because I'm going to put my board in the where the battery pack. They ask you to put the battery pack in the main section of the main body of the Kronos, and so I want to make sure that everything, all the leads that come to that and have to be connected, do so cleanly that I don't have a rat's nest of wire up there. So that's going to take a little bit of thought, but it's all well worth it. Okay, so now that we've discussed that, I'm going to go ahead and assemble it all, and we'll see what that looks like before we proceed. Now, I am using the Tenor Controls board and system to light this. So this won't apply to you if you're just using the plug-and-play system, which is already pre-wired for you and pre-labeled, and you just follow your instructions and you just plug them into the holes and you just run your harness out to the wings, to the top of the ship, and you should be fine with the battery. But I'm going to the next level here, and so all my wiring will go to a board which will be in that battery harness location, but power is going to come in the form of a 9-volt wall wart that's going to come from my base. So I've got two leads that are going to come up into the ship to power the board, and everything else will go to that space. It should be plenty of room. Now, To get into the nitty-gritty of what I'm doing in the Cobra head, let's take a look. So what I have in front of me is the top of the head. And in order to light these windows here, as well as these side louvers, we need to get some SMD strip in here. Now, this is supposed to run on 12 volts. But if you've got a wall wart with a 9-volt system, it is enough power to power this up. You couldn't do it with a 9-volt battery because it will pull juice very quickly, and you will it will dim out and fade out on you. So you don't want to do it. If you're going to go with a system like this, you either have to be at 9 volts or at 12 volts. And you do have to make sure that where things need to be resisted, they're resisted. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a little light bar here. What I've done is I've just taken a little bit of sheet styrene, and this is not terribly long, I can tell you. It's just 5 mil. And I've cut it to length, and as luck would have it, the way this is designed, you've got these locator pins. There's 3 of them, and they're actually for the top of the top of the Cobra head there. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting my strip on the inside of it, and it sits there. It just sits perfectly like that, and I'll glue that down. I've also added a notch right here, and that notch is going to allow one end of my SMD powered up strip to drop a wire down into the bottom. The other side of this is going to take the lead with a resistor up to the tower, which has the red light in it. It's a 5 mil. We talked about that earlier. So I now have to run my resisted 5 mil red to this side of the tape, because don't remember this is sort of basically 9 volts of power running through this, and this is already resisted. So it's still an awful lot of juice coming through here, and obviously without a resistor on this, you'd blow this bulb. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's a bit of a daisy chain here. So resisted LED to this. This side is going to drop down to the underneath strip, which is slightly longer, and I'll produce another one of these strips, and that's going to light everything down in the ball here. Now the Cobra ball. Now, interestingly enough, all this light, there's a little, I'm going to put a little red gel here. I'm not going to worry about a second light, but I am going to put a little red gel here because there is light here, and it's in the form of this little gap here. So I'm just going to put a little piece of red clear plastic behind that, so that that gets a red glow. Now there is a decal and an applique, a photo etch that is going to go on top of that. And we've got our photo etch that is going to wrap around that, but that photo etch is the color of the ship. It's not left brass. All the filigree is left brass, which is good news. But the nice thing about that piece of photo etch, is going to do a lot of light blocking for us. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this harness assembled, and then we'll take a look at it. And here is the completed circuit with the light. Now, in the studio with all these bright lights, it's a little difficult to see it at its perfection, but it is working beautifully. And if I turn you off to the side here, you can see also we've got plenty of light coming through. So that is a result. And believe it or not, there is zero light leaking once you actually seal all of this up. So that's going to be a really nice result. So So now what I've got to do is I haven't glued anything down yet. I've just created the harness, because what I have to do now is I've got to get back inside here, and let me just take this off carefully. And what I've got to do is, and I'll remove this because I don't need this at the moment, but I want to get some of the Aztec dummy masking set up here, and I'm going to mask the insides and the outsides so that I can get a nice finish on these. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, and once I've done that, I can assemble my lights, and I can actually seal this up. There'll be no other reason to get back in here because this part will be completed, and we can go ahead and seal that up. So that's a good thing. But it is a little awkward because you have to pre-wire some things. So you've got some steps to do just to make sure. But I've got some masking to do here. Now the supplied masking set does come with it comes with some very thin strip that you just trim, and you can use it there. But you could also use some tape as well if you don't have the masking set. But I highly recommend the masking set for many reasons. One, because Lou is a decent first-class human being. Two, because if you get the masks from Cult TV, man, you're stimulating the economy. And three, you'll get a better result. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. The top is on, and it's all looking really good. Now, I was having a bit of a difficult time because of how tiny these windows are. So what I did was I went ahead and used my trusty Humbrol Maskell here. I love this stuff. I can't say enough about it. Of all the different masking fluids that are out there on the market, that one, for whatever reason, its viscosity, the way it reacts, its ability to peel off, its cleanup, all of it, I just have personally had a great success with. I know there's lots of other options on the market, and I know a lot of you will have your favorites. I'm just sharing my opinion and the one that I like to use. And so what I can go ahead and do now is continue work on the lighting for the lower part, and that will give me all the light that I need into the head of this thing, the Cobra head, as it's sometimes often referred to. Now, again, just to repeat myself, this tape is slightly longer because I've got a couple of lights right here, just these little tiny ones here that will need to, whoops, there you go, that need to be lit. You can't see them really here. Well, let me try and get you closer. There we go. They're actually, yeah, that's them. They're right here. That's a tiny little light. So we've got those on both sides. So the Cobra neck needs to actually, it needs to be able to light that little light. At least you want it to. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done now, and then we'll fire up the whole thing and see what she looks like. So here's the Cobra head. And everything, all the lighting is in. A couple of things that have to be done before I seal it up. I've got some light blocking to do, and I've got just to make sure everything is sealed nice and tight. But I think you'll agree it came together really well. And even in these studio lights, you can see we've got plenty of light, and it's nice and bright. So I couldn't be happy with that. I've got some photo etch that needs to go on this band here, and we'll do that. And that's going to be in the gray, and there is a mask for that, so I will go ahead and get that installed. But that will do it for the Cobra head. The next up will be getting something on the neck. and then starting on the nacelles. But we're going to leave it there for this week. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com, and I post most days in the weeds photos of what's going on my bench. That's at Spruverse. You can buy me a cup of coffee. That link is on my channel page for charitable builds. And of course, merch can be found at the World of Wayne's link. That's on my channel page as well. Get yourself a shirt. 100% of the profits from that go to charity. So you'll be glad you picked yourself up a Spruverse shirt. But hey, I'll see you on part 2, where we'll continue to work on this incredible model. It's a lot of fun. The Kronos One from Polar Lights. But hey, as always, I wish all of you, please be safe and be well. Build something! And I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. See you soon.